Good evening, and welcome to this year's Raft debate. My name is Virginia Tortson. I'm Dean of Graduate Studies and Research in Arts and Sciences and the judge for this year's event. Now, I suspect many of you already know the setup and the rules for this event, but I'm going to review them for those of you who are new to the Raft debate. The premise is there's been a shipwreck, and only 3 survivors make it to a desert island. One of them is a humanist, and that would be Professor Fabrizio Prado from history. One of them is a social scientist, and that would be Professor Jamie Settle from government. One of them is Professor Doug Young from chemistry, and he represents the sciences. Now, it happens that there is another mysterious presence on the island, and that is the devil's advocate. And this year's devil's advocate is Professor Peter Pears from computer science. Now, as you can see, there is a raft on the island, but the raft only holds one person. So they must debate, they decide, because they are professors, to debate among themselves who should be allowed to go on the raft back to civilization. And the basis of their argument is which is more important, the humanities, the social sciences, the computational and natural sciences, or, as the devil's advocate may argue, none of the above. So the rules are that each of the debaters gets a first round of 7 minutes. We have a timer up here in the front. And then there's a second round where each has up to 3 minutes to respond to comments by the other debaters. We'll open the floor to a few questions afterwards, and then we will decide amongst us. I will require your help who actually gets to go on the raft. So with that, I'm going to step aside, and Professor Prado will start the debate.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor for tonight to try to save humanity by saving the humanities, right? And thank you all. And I'd like to start here showing you guys the synthesizer. This fantastic machine. This is a Moog created by a physicist that collaborated with a Russian, Leon Theremin, building upon this, created this beautiful machine. Great. We've never been seen one before, but you heard it. David Bowie, Kanye West, all space movies that you may seen. And it's a musical instrument. Great. But there can be just a box of noise. Just circuits here. So if you want to turn this into a real instrument, you need a human to bring in the spirit, right? We need to bring in the spirit. Just the sciences may not do. So what is, when you get beautiful, I think that our friend scientists are great, and we think that we all work together. But the humanities were there in the beginning. That's why we all here we hold PhDs, philosophy doctors. That's because we were there in the beginning. And the medical sciences, the computational sciences, the social sciences all grew up from the original humanities. Because Without ethics, without knowing from where we came from, we cannot know where we are going to. So I know that the models of the economists, our political scientists, are great. They predict a lot, including the crash of 2008. So I understand why we need them to be with us to help to fix the mess. I also see the necessity of keeping the scientists with us because all the pollution, the development, with unchecked development of technology, of the use of resources, have created a catastrophic situation. That climate change now is perhaps one of the biggest challenges ahead. I understand that why we need sciences around to help us fix this mess that in large degree was created by our friends scientists. If you leave the sciences unchecked, humanity may suffer. We know that even when in creating drugs that saved millions of lives, we still have to look ahead and ask ourselves, what is ethical? What are the costs of such development? Is it okay to test new drugs in children in Africa? It is okay to try in Guatemala, in the indigenous populations, to try new drugs against malaria that will not be allowed even to be done in animals in the United States. So I ask you all today that we are not here just saving, it's not just saving the humanities. It's about saving humanity, right? We have to keep the spirit. We need to keep our ethic. And above all, we need to know from where we came from. And that's another important point to argue here. My friends in their labs, they need to repeat the experiments. They need to find formulas. And a good experiment, you can repeat it and get the same results. Control the variables, you're going to get good results. However, can you repeat history? How can you repeat the creation of a work of art? Can you just go to the lab and create a new Shakespeare? Some people say that perhaps computers now are playing music. Don't listen to it if you don't want to, get your ear in bad situation. But, so I say that history, it's crucial. We can reinvent the wheel. Actually, the wheel was invented 3,500 years ago in Asia, South Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East, even in the Americas. A lot of people, we can recreate technology. Pyramids, from Mexico to Egypt, they were not talking to each other. We can rebuild technology, but history, my friends, our origins, the stories from your ancestors, all the African diaspora, all the movement of people, the challenges, our mistakes. If you lose that, we cannot recreate. And if you lose our history, we won't know where we are coming from. We don't know what we can work on and improve on. So I would say tonight, let's save humanity by saving the humanities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I am incredibly honored and privileged to serve as your social science candidate for this year's Raft debate. I would especially like to thank my campaign staff sitting right here in front. They have alerted me that we have a Snapchat filter that we encourage you to use throughout this debate. Woo! So tonight, we will begin to make data great again. Woo! All right. Now, those of you who know me, you know that I have the greatest respect for those incredible people of the humanities and the social sciences. Nobody has more respect for the humanities and sciences. Trust me on this. Brilliant people, great people, nobody loves them more than I do. Now, you may have heard some people saying that the social sciences are just a basket full of deplorables, but we're better than this, people. We know that we are more than that. It's really those humanities folks and those sciences folks that are disaster, absolute and total catastrophe, just American carnage in the making. Now, tonight, I promise to convince you that the social sciences are the best. The best. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. The social sciences are the best. And in case any of you have any doubt, I have my bodyguard right here to make sure that those crooked natural scientists and those radical humanists don't get too rowdy in these proceedings. Okay, enough of that. So let's get down to business. Why is it that we would want a social scientist to get a seat on this raft? So the first thing is, it takes a social scientist to settle these proceedings with a debate and a vote, right? That's what social scientists do. The social scientists know how to design institutional rules in order to best serve the people. What you are seeing here tonight is democracy in action. This is an example of channeling the will of the people, where we as candidates stand in front of you to represent our parties, or maybe it's just professors kind of haphazardly selected to represent their disciplines. And you, as engaged student citizens, will cast your vote for the most important decision that you're ever going to make thus far. Or at least just vote for me to get that dang seat on the raft so I can get off this stage. So why is it that social scientists are trusted with designing institutional rules? Because we know how to evaluate the quality of the processes used in channeling the will of the people. We study the factors that matter in predicting who will vote for whom, and we explore the political decisions that the people make for the people. So this Raft debate is in form of a decision rule of sorts. It is a rule stating that this judge stalks gullible faculty members who agree to participate in a potentially humiliating evening for your enjoyment. And then you are supposed to pick based on the quality of our arguments and hopefully not on the size of our hands, because I'm clearly not going to be winning that debate. All right, so this has got to be a rigorous process, right? What could possibly go wrong in a process like the Raft debate? Well, as an expert in voting systems, I'm going to walk you through it so that you are confident in the integrity of the system. So let's start with vote fraud. The hallmark of free and fair elections is that there is minimal possibility for vote fraud. And I want to absolutely ensure to you that there is no risk tonight that anyone in here... So it actually appears that our voter fraud commission has detected some illegal voters here. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. We want this to be free and fair. Out, 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 out. All right. So let's talk about the integrity of these procedures, okay? In a high-quality election, you want private ballots because your vote is yours alone, and it is important that no one else could possibly know. Okay, so it in fact turns out that your vote is not yours alone, that actually you are voting publicly. But please don't be subject to any of the pressure. All of my supporters wearing blue that you see around you, please don't be pressured at all by the will of the majority being expressed at all. Woo! All right, let's talk about corruption and vote buying. Your votes should never, ever, ever be for sale, and don't let your vote... Okay, it turns out that just like Kellyanne Conway, my research lab assistants have violated the Hatch Act and have in turn been passing around stickers to encourage voters. And rumor has it that the Voter Fraud Commission is going to be circulating in the aisles, making sure that all you double majors vote for the right person and vote for the social sciences. All right, so this process could still have integrity if every vote were counted equally, if everyone were equally able to express themselves and make sure that there were no distortions in the voice of the people. Now what? All right, well, according to these procedures, if you have a louder voice, it turns out that your vote can be counted more than once. Social science students only. I have talked with my fellow faculty, and if tomorrow in class you have lost your voice, you're not going to lose any participation points in our classes. All right, so the last thing is if you were to vote your conscience, if you were to vote not based on your identity or not based on your affiliation. Yeah, I know. Okay, so it turns out that the Raft debate is entirely about your identity or your affiliation here, right? So let's hear it. If you're a social scientist in here, scream loud. Woo! All right, so whether or not you're a social scientist, I want your vote to put me on that vote so that I can steer the social sciences safely to shore. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the College of William & Mary, and God bless these United States of America.
Okay, I need my mic. Reclaiming my time. Okay. No? Test. No? Testing. All right. I don't know. There goes my glasses. Science. Woo. And burnt arm hair. Woo. Nothing says debate like burnt arm hair. So, that was powerful and a little painful. But when asked, I just created water from fire, and that is the power of science. And when asked, why should you save the natural and computational sciences, there really is only one answer here. Because science. But I know that as William & Mary students, you're taught to critically think. So you want a better explanation, and that's what I'm going to give you. I called my good friend, Dr. DJ Khaled, and he told me, yo, Snoop Dougie Doug Fresh, there are two major keys of why science should be saved. And here they are. Major key one, science is foundational. So if you think about it, science is at the core of everything we do in everyday life. Let's first look at some representatives from the three different disciplines and see why science must be saved. So who has a higher degree in the arts? A master's of dark arts. Who's on the Quidditch team? Anyone playing in my audience? No? Okay. Woo, I got someone. All right. The social scientists, maybe a little bit worse. Uh-oh. So what happens if you're left with the arts and the social sciences? These are upside down, so this will help. This is where humanity will be. Okay? Conversely, if we look at the natural and computational sciences, we see where some true badasses are. Who can question these? Bill Nye, the science guy. And who really runs Wakanda? Right here. All right. But I am not arguing that we should forget the social sciences or the arts and humanities. What I am arguing is key one is science is foundational. You need a basis in the natural sciences to reach out to other disciplines. And that's why you should save the natural scientists. Let's just think about this on stage, on the island. If we were to look and I say, Professor Prado, could you please cure HCV for me? He probably would be like, I don't know. And I would be like, shh, I did that in 2010. If I said, Professor Settle, can you build me a computer so you can look on Facebook? And she would say, maybe if I had some time, maybe, I don't know. I would say, I did that when I was 16 because I was a mega nerd. Okay? But what I'm trying to say, though, I should be able to do those things because I'm a natural scientist. But I can also reach out because those natural scientists are true Renaissance men and women. Let's look at the chemistry department itself. Who had Professor Pike? No one. No one's here. Wonderful. He's a great chemist, but also an accomplished musician. Professor Hinkle is a professional cyclist training for the 2022 Olympics. Professor Landino is an award-winning brewer. And I myself am reaching out into the sciences and into the social sciences. I got my team together and said, hey, team, how can I reach out in the social sciences? I know, I'm going to run for office because we see who can get elected anyways. And we got together, and I'm proud to announce that at this event, my candidacy for the 2020 election. So if you're a Democrat, we have Young Hope 2020. If you're a Republican, let's make America young again. Yeah. But, what else do we have here? Oh, yes. I can also reach out into the arts. As you could tell from my mad Photoshop skills, they're pretty on point. But I also write some poetry. I wrote a little poem for today. Would you like to hear it? Tough. Oh, good, you do, because I was going to read it anyways. All right. Ready? All right. Hark upon the gale. When he harks, it's always on the gale. For science shall never fail. Because the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Just as though the heart of campus is the creme del. Right there. Well, that was my middle finger, sorry. In that creme del, you may find a phage in that moat. But if you're lucky, you'll find Reevely, who's a real dreamboat. And if you do the triathlon in that swamp, in your heart, you will always be a twomp. I would read the second stanza, but it's very emotionally raw for me right now, so I'm gonna pass. And go to Major Key 2. Major Key 2, science is the shiznit. Okay, so, if you think about your daily life, everything is science. You've heard this in past Raft debates. Ooh, I wouldn't have a cell phone if I didn't have science. Ooh, I wouldn't have cancer cures if I didn't have science. True, true, true. But let's bring it to this island. Professor Prado, if he did not have science, would not have glasses. If he could not have glasses, he could not read or write books. Professor Settle, if we did not have science, would not have the interwebs. If she did not have the interwebs, she could not write grants. And both of them would not have gotten tenure, which they did. Congratulations. Yay! Woo! They would be homeless, living in a cardboard box on the side of the river. Isn't that sad? Womp womp. That's a Saturday Night Live joke that most of you are too young to understand. But anyways, the point is science is the key to civilization. Science started civilization. We were a nomadic people until we gained the ability to harvest physics, chemistry, biology, to farm and grow grains. And to give us our most important contribution to society that science can give us, but I'm not allowed to talk about this because it's against the rules of debate. Make good tribe choices. Instead, I really thought about it. The best thing that science gave us from those grains and from those yeast, I feel like Oprah. The key is, Oprah says, save the natural and computational sciences. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying the show. So, Dean Torkson asked me to participate in this event. So, what can I say? She's my boss, right? So I didn't have much choice. So, but you know, I actually have to tell you a secret. I didn't know what the Raft debate was. Yeah, I know. How couldn't I know? But seriously. So, I was told this is a battle of wit and intelligence. Anyway, so apparently 3 professors are stranded on a deserted island. Well, that doesn't surprise me. And somehow I have to convince you guys that none of them should leave the island. I don't get that. You know, when I was a student, admittedly, that's long, long ago, country very far away. You know, if I would hear one of my professors was stranded on an island, I would go and party. I would get a drink. So I don't get it why. But then it hit me, you know, the drinking age in this country, it's 21. That's the issue. So the easy solution is I'm going to give you all alcohol. But I've been told I'm not allowed to do that. So I started thinking about this whole premise, right? How did these professors end up on this island? Supposedly a shipwreck. I don't see any parts, you know? So my guess is they got dumped on this island. That doesn't happen because you don't eat your vegetables. Now, for my kids, yes, it happens. So they must have done something very sinister. So last time we dumped people who did bad things on an island, we ended up with Australia. Anyway, nobody's perfect, except me. But then I started wondering, wait. So we're gonna let one of these people go in a boat, he's gonna like row to civilization, and then what is he gonna do then? He's just gonna go to bed, not tell the authorities that there are 2 other people on this island? What kind of asshole are you if you do that? So I guess we're voting who's the biggest. Anyway, do you really think we're doing that person a favor? I mean, somebody who doesn't have any navigation experience, what are the chances that he or she is going to reach civilization? It's pretty slim, you know? Anyway, let's assume that one of our eminent professors is also an expert navigator. Let's assume. So that guy is going to leave the island without food or water. Well, good luck making it to civilization. So this person, since we've already established it's not a very nice person anyway, right? He's going to take all of the food and all of the drinks, and the other 2 can just starve to death, right? I mean, that's very nice. I mean, really, we're leaving some food behind, right? The first one that dies. Now, anyway. Anyway, I have my boys' book of survival. I guess the author didn't want any girls to survive, but... Chapter 3, How to survive while stranded on a deserted island. So apparently the best strategy to survive is to work together. So my case is that I argue that we should leave these eminent professors together on the island. That's the only intelligent, the only rational, and the only ethical thing we can do. Thank you.
Round of arguments. So now we go on to the rebuttals. Each debater gets up to 3 minutes. Let's give our timer here a minute to get it going. All right, here we go.
All right. This is a difficult rebuttal because I actually didn't hear a solid argument, right? So for me, what I've heard that just noise. Noise. I am still interested. In music, not noise, in the humanities. Saving humanities for the sake of humanity. And I would say that if you ask the Renaissance man if he considers himself a scientist, or herself a scientist, you say, no, we are humanists. So I am so sorry, but the early chemists were humanists that were there to improve, looking to live a better future, thinking of ethics, improving their communities. So I would say yes, our young faculty and science friends, there is a room for you in the humanities, but do not forget the ethics and where we come from. That's the only way that we can move forward. And I would say that our political system has evolved a lot, but we still have a lot to perfect. And I think, that, again, that keeping true to our identities, to our grassroots communities, is very, very important, as much as the ethics in making arguments. We can say that America was great in the 1950s. I would ask you for whom, right? So, that, my friends, all the good chemistry, not the one that produced chemical weapons, they have the ethics, history, all above them, because we're all together after all. Same for the politicians that have their advisors telling many things. The good political scientists, the good social scientists, they don't ignore history. They learn from it, to confront, to learn, to improve, so we can, in fact, have a better future ahead. And that's the world that I want to be part in. I don't want to be part in a world in which discrimination, inequality is the rule. I want to dream and work. That's why we talk about agency. Very important word these days, especially in my field, in the humanities. Agency. We, humans, have the agency to change our future. And in order to build a future, we need to know where we came from. So, my friends, tonight, save the humanities.
All right, so let's think about this. The fact of the matter is that we need people who can put into practice the best of knowledge from all of the fields. And that's where social scientists come in. What unites us is the kind of questions we ask and the way that we are oriented in the present. We are not rooted in the past. We borrow from the past. We look to the past to build stronger arguments. We'll take anyone's methods and put them into practice to answer the questions that matter most for us in the here and now. So how many of you are, say, concerned about fake news in the 2016 election? How many people think that was a pretty big problem? Yeah? Big problem? Yeah. Big problem. We should be worried about it, right? Now, it's not the scientists' fault directly. It's not the humanists. It's not just the social scientists. Let's just all agree that it's Russia's fault about the fake news in the election, right? But let's think about how each group would try to tackle the problem. What can we learn from it, and what can we do moving forward? So the humanists, of course, are going to dwell on the past. They're going to think about the role that false information has always played in politics. They'll be able to give you many examples from across the decades and the centuries. Philosophers are going to dwell on the ethics of regulation by the government versus private companies. But you know what? These folks can never agree about anything. They're never going to be able to come up with a concrete policy proposal about what we should do in 2018 and beyond. And what about the scientists? Please, come on. What are they going to do? They're going to be the ones who got us in this mess in the first place. They designed these algorithms. They don't think at all about what the implications of the algorithms are and how they could be used for nefarious purposes. So you know who's being relied on for the problem of fake news right now? You know what our best line of defense is? You can probably guess. It's social scientists. See, it's the way that social scientists ask questions that matter. We are methodological pluralists, and we will happily borrow the best of techniques from other disciplines to apply it to the problems that matter. And so we are borrowing techniques from computer science to assess how fake news spreads. We are borrowing and bringing in techniques from all fields of psychology to think about why some people are more likely to believe fake news than others. It's social scientists who are staffing the think tanks in DC who are advising policymakers. And you honestly want to know who Facebook's hiring a lot of right now? social scientists. And you know why? Because we can quantify the problems, and we can design experiments, and we can figure out how to fix these issues. Social scientists are the ones that are best suited to solve the problems that matter to you in the here and now, so that we can work on designing a better future. So there should be no question in your mind. And it's clear that this debate has been settled.
Settle down, settle. All right, I just wanted to say that all night. Okay, so the rebuttal. So I really carefully wrote down everyone's arguments on this piece of paper, and I think they're all going down the same way as overheard at William and Mary. That's disgusting, sorry. Okay, let's get real. This makes me a little bit emotional. Science has had a real hard year, yo. And I need my debate coach, Professor McNamara, to come give me some help here. The EPA, thank you. The EPA is in shambles. Let's not talk about the national parks. And you know, it's been 416 days since we've had a national science advisor. We need to, in this room, right now, reclaim America for the sciences. Turn the ship around and vote for the natural sciences. Humanity is much like these flowers, beautiful, delicate, wonderful. Do you know what happens when you don't believe in the sciences? My hand falls off too. This is what happens. Oh no, and there goes my glasses again. Is this how you want your future to look? So the sciences, I believe, are much like my favorite person. Do you know who my favorite person is? No, not myself. This is not Magic Mike. My favorite person is Santa. Because no matter if you believe or not, he will always be there for you. And he always brings you wonderful presents, just like the natural sciences. So have some more donuts. And with that, I'll just finish. This is really slippery now. With a broken hip. So what we have here is fake news, alternative facts, and Facebook Russian interference, and science. Mic drop. Done.
So, my colleagues here made some really good arguments. And I'm afraid some of you may have been swayed by their lies. No worries, I foresaw this. So I came prepared with my emergency toolkit. My super secret WM, where WM, of course, stands for Weapons of Mass Destruction. After all, I am the devil's advocate, and according to the rules, yes, they're written down. According to the rules, the devil's advocate is a muckraker, whatever that means. I'm sure it applies to me. And an up somewhere that I can't pronounce. So, either everyone survives or no one does. So, let's see what we have. I have... Where is it? Oh, yes. I have a big hand and a red button. That's a bad combination. I better not use this. I might blow up a country. What else do I have? Introduction to programming. Now, I only use that to torture our CS students. Ah, yes, my ultimate weapon. To disable inflatable rafts. The judge is looking at me with these eyes like, don't you dare deflate my yacht. So I better not use that. Tenure is not guaranteed, I guess. Oh. What else do I have? Ah, yes, my ultimate weapon. A printout of Wikipedia of how a sound meter works. So, how would I use that? You might wonder. Well, apparently, a sound meter measures sound pressure. And as you know, it decreases by distance. So good luck to the ones in the back. So we put all of these numbers in a supercomputer, let them crunch for a week, and it gave us the answer, 42. I don't know what it means. But in any case, I asked my students to just sit close to the front to make sure that we all can save our 3 esteemed colleagues. Thank you.
So now we have time for a few questions from the audience directed to our debaters. Do we have anybody who wants? Oh, I see a hand up there.
If we didn't have science?
If you didn't have science to say, make a boat, would you still be stranded on this here desert island?
No, you'd be dead.
Well, there you have it. Do we have any other questions? Don't be shy. No other questions? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
That is excellent question. Excellent question. So you know what the beauty of the social sciences is? It's a process, right? We design institutions, we look at policy, we evaluate them, we reassess, we make new recommendations. And so you can't, we're always moving forward, we're always looking towards the future, and we're always hoping to learn from our present right now. So I don't think it's fair to say, why would we expect to have achieved perfection by 2018? We want to keep moving forward, and that's why I need that seat, so I can lead us off and keep up the push to move forward.
Any other questions? His mother just said, I don't think so. Anybody else? Oh, okay. Yes.
I was under the impression that humanity was still there and that we were just the ones stranded. So I'm hoping there's a society that I can go help improve. I think that's my answer.
All right, number 1, once getting back to humanity, I would send the boat to rescue my friends. Right? And number 2, I think that I would tell all of our discussions here, and I would really go forward looking for equality, for a just and fair society in which everybody can have a voice and be heard. So that's, for me, what really matters, and we should learn from the past and the present to move forward together.
Well, during my 2020 presidential run, I would work very hard on the platform of unity. And I would try to become a better social scientist and a better humanist, as well as bring the power of science to the world to make unicorns and rainbows.
And destroy flowers.
And I'd save my friends too.
Okay. I see a hand up there.
Yeah, this is a question from Professor Settle. You said that you social scientists staff most of DC, so with that in mind, why would we want you back?
that is another interesting point to raise. So notice that I did not say most of our elected officials are political scientists or social scientists. Let's blame lawyers for that. I think that's the root of the problem there. My point is that we are there to keep things from totally going off the rails, right? So we're the ones working at think tanks. We're all of the staffers working on the Hill. We are doing our best to hold things together while non-social scientists are actually running things into the ground at the moment.
Are we ready to decide? All right, I am asking my assistant to stand up. We have a sound meter. And so what I'm going to ask you to do, and my timer, can you set a timer for 30 seconds? All right. The way this gets decided, the devil's advocate was correct, is by who generates the loudest noise, with me making the final call. So we're going to start, and are we ready? Should we save the humanities? All right, that 30 seconds is up. Are you ready for the next one? All right, should we save the social sciences? Nothing like bribery, is there? Okay, now how about the natural and computational sciences? All right, Doug, I want to have my hearing for the rest of the night. Remember that everybody should have an equal voice? I think we're going to have a problem here. So who agrees with the devil's advocate that none of them should be saved? We have a winner. The winner is the natural and computational sciences. Now, I ask for a round of applause for all of tonight's debaters for being such good sports. And I thank you all very much for coming. And don't forget that the Graduate Research Symposium starts tomorrow, and you're all welcome to attend. Good night.